Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Saturday Morning Comic Review. I'm your host, Dylan Wallace. Today, we got a great episode for you guys. Finally back from vacation. It was an awesome trip. We did a Royal Caribbean cruise. It was like 5 days in total, Monday through Friday. So good to be back. Recorded my first episode for the wrestling show yesterday. So just kind of getting everything, knocking out all the cobwebs and trying to remember how all this stuff works, but as far as an Omega, just wasn't able to get it done for this week. So the way that this Saturday issue is going to be a little bit different because I have a whole bunch of books to catch up on. We got last week's books, we got the books from this week. I was able to go ahead and pick those up. So we're going to have a bit of a backlog to work through over the next couple of episodes. And for me, for this Saturday edition, I was just like, let's just read whatever we feel like we're interested in. So there's no true rhyme or reason for the reason that I picked the books that I did, but we have 5 from the most recent pulls from this week and last, and then we have 5 that are kind of the backlogs. If you've been listening for a while, you already know what those are, featured in the Omegas and then sometimes at the tail end of the regular episodes. So that's going to be the format for today. We got 10 as per usual. We'll talk about the pulls for this week. We'll talk about the pulls for next week, and then we will have, of course, the review section. So let's go ahead and get into it and talk about pulls for this week. So, before we do, as always, I'd like to go through what are the top picks of the week thus far. So, this is from League, of course. Number 1 is Absolute Martian Manhunter, issue number 9. That has 29% of the vote. Then, Absolute Wonder Woman, number 17, with 21% of the vote. Then, New History of the DC Universe, The Dakota Incident, number 1. That's a surprising one. But that has 6% of the vote. Then Punisher, number 1, has 5%. And then The Ultimates, issue number 21, has 4%. So, of those 5 issues, I have 3 of the 5, which is great. I don't review any of them on this show, but we'll get to them eventually. So that is all good. Then the polls themselves for this week was a pretty big week. So we have 12 in total. Probably best if I only just call out what's actually going to be reviewed on today's show. Other than that, everything else is just going to be a backlog. So we have Absolute Martian Manhunter, issue number 9. Absolute Wonder Woman, issue number 17. The Final Boss, issue number 4. We read it. We will review it today. I am dropping off of that one after this, so that's going to be the final issue there. Then Hyde Street, issue number 10. Read it. We'll review it. Iron Man, number 2. Justice League Unlimited, issue number 16. Similar to Final Boss. We read it, review it, and we'll be dropping it as well. And then next up is The Power Fantasy, issue number 16. Red Book, number 4. Skinbreaker, issue number 6. The Ultimate, issue number 21. Void Rivals, number 27, and then Voyeur, number 4. So 12 in total, and in case, I don't know if I actually went through it last week or not, so I'll just go ahead and say the last week pulls as well, just so you know what else is kind of on the horizon here. We have Absolute Batman, issue number 17, The Darkness, number 3, Exquisite Corpses, issue number 10, which will be featured on this show, G.I. Joe, number 19, Minor Arcana, number 14, Ultimate Spider-Man, number 24, and then X-Men 25, which will also be featured on this show. So those are last week's books. You have this week's books as well. And then I think with that, we'll just go ahead and get right into the review. So, overall, we have 10 books, like I mentioned. We're going to be reviewing them in this order. Start with the 5 of the recent ones. So we're going to start with X-Men, issue number 25. Then Justice League Unlimited, number 16. Exquisite Corpses, number 10. Final Boss, issue number 4. And then Hyde Street, number 10. So those are all the recent books. Then everything else here is going to be a backlog. So we have Saga, issue number 51. Then we have Poison Ivy, issue number 19. Issunboshi, which is just wrapping up the final chapter here, chapter 5 of this graphic novel. Then Echolands, issue number 4. And then last but not least is going to be Fables. I think this is issue, 161. So it's the second to last one, so we're almost done with this book. It's a 12-issue trade. So those will be the books in that order, in case you want to go ahead and skip around a little bit to get to your favorite book. Like I said, we'll start off with X-Men issue number 25. If this is your first time tuning in, first off, thank you so much. I appreciate that. The way that these reviews work, I will catch you up on the story, but I do spoil the book a lot. So if you are not interested in spoilers, it's just not going to be the show for you. But I'll show off the artwork for the folks that are looking on YouTube. I'll give you my rating on League. I'll give you the League rating as well, and then I'll let you know at the end of this whether or not this is a good one to jump into, because we all see those big scary numbers and wonder, is this actually a good time to go ahead and jump into this comic book? So starting off here with X-Men issue number 25, I gave it a 3.5. League gave it a 3.8, so very similar there. Where we are in the story, so we have Cyclops and Beast. Their consciousness was in the future. The whole world went to shit. Doug Ramsey took over as Revelation and basically destroyed the world. And so Cyclops and Beast were sent back to the past, our present, to basically warn the X-Men and everything and try to stop Doug from doing what he was going to do. First couple of issues of that, Cyclops was basically going after to try and kill Doug, and the X-Men are like, what the hell is going on? And then we find out in the previous issue, number 24, that Beast is actually Dr. McCoy and leading, he calls himself, I think, the chairman, 3K. So the evil organization in all the X-Men books currently in the present. He is the leader. So some sort of future version. So it's a major reveal in issue number 24. Pick up here in 25. For whatever reason, the consciousness only lasted 1 week. So now Cyclops, Scott's regular normal consciousness is back. And so they swapped it so he was able to see how terrible the future is, but he is now back in his normal self. Beast never really switched. So Beast in the X-Men has been the same. He just switched with his Dr. McCoy version as head of 3K in the future. And so now the X-Men are like, okay, well, clearly we need to stop Doug in some way, shape, or form. Scott's just not going to do it as violently to just go ahead and attack like he did spontaneously a couple of issues ago. So with that, they tried to track him down. On their way to tracking him down, this ends up being a filler issue. They go and run into a bunch of Nazis, and they end up beating them up. Seems like that's a lot of what comics is writing on the Marvel side, on the DC side. I'm here for it. So beating up Nazis is what ends up being the crux of this story, and it ends up being a lot of filler about halfway through. Then at the end, we have, it's like a governmental agency. It's some sort of emergency group. But they show up just as the X-Men defeat these Nazis, and they hold a press conference. And basically the guy running it, I think his name is Commando something, he says on air and basically gaslights the whole situation. Thanks to the X-Men, really appreciate them helping us out. We see we have these mutant Nazis who are trying to take over. If anyone comes into the United States and you're not behaving, we are partnering up with the X-Men, and they're going to help us get rid of all of the mutants that are doing terrible things and being criminals, this, that, and the other. And so Scott and, of course, the X-Men are like, well, what the hell are you talking about? We're just like standing here, and he's just rattling all that stuff off. And so everyone goes off the air. Scott, of course, looks at him and is like, what are you talking about? No, we don't stand for any of this crazy agenda stuff. Don't align us. And Commando's like, hey, this is kind of what we're doing because we don't really want any other mutants to side with you guys. So if we put this spin on it this way, it's actually going to be better for us as, you know, kind of the human Homo sapien side of things. So now there's this contentious, of course, as always, between mutant and human, and it seems like, okay, the humans are now going to maybe be more receptive, but on the mutant side, they're going to be less receptive, specifically to the X-Men. So we'll see how they navigate that whole political minutia. So that's the big piece, and then at the very, very end, we get this big reveal of Beast. He is thinking more about the name 3K, and he realizes it's some sort of childish joke. 3K, 3000, if you do it in Roman numerals, it stands for MMM, and he came up with the phrase, many more mutants. He's like, there's only one person who would make a asinine joke like that, and the fact that I was able to solve it means it only could be me. And he goes and he calls over to 3K because it was some sort of invitation. And sure enough, the chairman, Dr. McCoy, evil version of Beast, answers the phone call. And he says, I'm surprised it took you this long. And that is the cliffhanger, which is a great cliffhanger in the end. So this book, it is a good one to jump into. I would recommend it. 3.5 does seem lower only because it's a filler issue. However, with Cyclops now being like regular Cyclops and we kind of hand waved a bunch of that stuff, you'd actually be fine. But if you were reading this for a while and then you read the very, very end of like what's going to happen in the next issue, you realize that we're going to be in store for a bunch of filler stuff, at least for the foreseeable future, which is kind of annoying. So here's basically the reveal that it is Dr. McCoy there, the chairman. So that's kind of annoying too. And that's ultimately what brought down the rating for me from a 4 to a 3.5. But it would be a good time to jump into. So that is X-Men issue number 25. Again, I gave it a 3.5. League gave it a 3.8. Next up here is going to be Justice League Unlimited issue number 16. I gave it a 4. League gave it a 3.5. I was definitely in between a 3.5 and a 4. I did decide to go with the 4 just because I felt like I understood the story in this one a little bit more than I have previously, and the art was on par as the previous issues, and I think the art has been a slight notch above what kind of your typical DC is, so it ends up with a 4. But that all being said, I did ultimately decide to drop Justice League Unlimited just because a lot of it has just been so-so, and I'm not incredibly interested, and I'm just trying to pare things down a little bit, make some room for new number ones, things that may catch my eye, start off with buying the number one. If, of course, I'm interested, then I'll just kind of keep it, moving forward, but I felt like I gave this one enough of a shot. So for me, it is
no thanks.
No thanks. But that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the actual review of it. So for the Justice League, of course, we got the KO event going on, so we basically have all the leftovers here. They are, well, it's a version of the Justice League anyways, working their way down to hell to stop Neron. Neron made a deal with a bunch of these different lesser villains. Hey, you reap a bunch of souls, I will give you all this extra power. The villains are taking advantage that the main heroes are now off-world, and all at the same time, Darkseid is also attacking as well. So the remaining, B tier, C tier heroes are trying to evacuate as many humans as possible while also dealing with these villains. And the Justice League group led by Mr. Terrific, they finally get to Neron. Mr. Terrific had a plan in place, but he's betrayed by one of the fellow Justice League heroes, which is Owl Woman. And basically she reveals why she decided to betray Mr. Terrific and all of humanity. And the reason is a lot of these heroes, all of them really, are all like an anomaly within the timeline, and they only exist as like a nanosecond within whatever timeline they've come from. And as soon as this time stream thing is corrected, there'll be no more. And so Owl Woman was like, well, I actually wanted to stay alive, and so I decided to make a deal with the devil. And Mr. Terrific's like, did you just like hear what you said? You decided to make a deal with the devil. You have no soul. You're no hero at all. And so she starts to ponder on this a little bit of like, maybe I made a catastrophic mistake. And so meanwhile, not enough souls are being reaped up on Earth as scene is taking place in hell. So Neron sends Owl Woman up to Earth. And when she does, she sees both the villains and the heroes. And she then suddenly has the change of heart and says to the villains, hey, maybe we screwed up by trying to side with the devil versus what is about to take place here on Earth. Not really sure if we can stop Darkseid, and who's to say if he's coming here to Earth that he can't also then come down to hell. So maybe we should all turn around and go against Neron and then try to evacuate as much as possible. So that's the cliffhanger. That's the basis of the story. It's fine. It's so-so. Not really a good place to jump into from that perspective. But the art's cool. Go ahead and take a look at this. Like, pretty dope. The way that they have Neron drawn there. A lot of reds and grays and dark greens. It looks really nice. So good on them from there. And, it has that detail that I love of like overlapping characters and panels and things like that. It's not just like plain Jane square and rectangular paneling. So all good stuff there. However, I am dropping the story, so not sure how it's all going to come to an end. I'm sure in the end they will go ahead and save the day. You can go ahead and skip it for now. We'll finish up KO here. We'll see what is next. I know I'm picking up Lobo, Batwoman, and I want to say Deathstroke. Those are the next number ones that are coming out in March/April timeframe, so that's just right around the corner. So we'll swap this guy out and then bring in some new DC stories. So yeah, that was Justice League Unlimited issue number 16. I gave it a 4, League gave it a 3.5. Next up is going to be Exquisite Corpses issue number 10. So League gave this one a 4.2. I gave it a 4. So, right around where League was for this one as well. This is our story of a battle royale, in a sense, taking place in the heartland of some poor town in the middle of the country. 13 of the original colonies all have 13 families of billionaires. They fight once every 4 years to decide who is actually going to be running the country for the next 4 years. They pick a champion. They pick this town. They seal it all off. They have the killers fight each other, and then the winner is, that champion winner. That family then goes on to rule. So we are way far into the tournament at this point. Main things that happen here: Paramedic has become a bit of a main protagonist. She was a military vet, and she's starting to realize this craziness is going on. She gets to the gamekeeper. So it's like the gamekeeper is actually, if you think of like the Hunger Games, like the main people that are running the show, she gets to the groundskeeper, I should say. So the guy who's on the ground actually making sure that this is unfolding the way that it should. She gets to him. He's in a bell tower. She wants some answers. What is this? What all is happening? And the guy's like, I can't even begin to try to explain to you what's happening. It's like, what is it, the government? It's like, the government's just a puppet show that has nothing to do. And basically tries to explain a little bit, but by the time he does, he's like, you know what? I knew how this was all going to end anyways. Calls out on his radio, groundkeeper compromised. And also with that, she has a gun pointed at him, shoots him in the head, and then a whole bunch of bullets start raining down to fire at her. So it's like, oh crap. Bad situation here, and now the games are a little bit in flux, right? So that scene takes place. You have another character. She's a mother. She's getting caught up in all this as well. She is strung up by one of these psycho killers, trying to plead for her life. As that is taking place, Fox Killer, one of the main characters, shows up, and she's a champion in the tournament along with this other champion. They start fighting right in front of the mother, who's like tangled up in this barbed wire. And so Fox Killer does kill that one champion, so we have another champion down off the board, and she does allow the mother to go and leave to try to find her son. She does, but unfortunately he didn't make it. He's dead. Very sad scene that takes place there. Then the final piece that you have are a group of boys. They're trying to run away. They stop at a gas station, try to keep things as lively as you possibly can as you're living in this crazy apocalyptic, scenario. But they're being chased by this psycho wearing this like bunny mascot suit, and he was chasing them in the school. They got in the school bus. They went to the gas station. He came up right behind him, ends up killing one of the kids while the other two get away. So just a lot of chaos that's happening and taking place. And then the final bit is 2 of the 13 families. They're trying to conspire and figure out, hey, one of the champions is actually a member of the family, whereas everyone else is like a killer. And it could be like an assassin. It could be a complete psychopath. It could be like, some people just put people in there for sport because they don't actually have any interest of winning this game. They just want to see like how many kills is this person going to get, or are they going to be the first one to die, right? Just like stupid, effed up, twisted stuff. But one family, they do have a family member in there, so they more care about getting her out alive than they actually care about winning. And the way that they win, and they revealed this in the last issue or two, is it's not so much the champion as much as it is the weapon that the last person is killed by. So her weapon was broken, so now it's like no matter what, she can't win for her family, but obviously they want her to come out alive. So they're like, okay, what's the most potent weapon out there? Someone has a pistol as their weapon. So they're like, okay, how do we get to the pistol? Turns out the paramedic picked up the pistol from a couple issues back. So she's like, you know what? I don't even want to go for the pistol. I want to go for the knife because I want to kill Fox Killer, who they presume is going to be the final person on the field because she's done this tournament before and has won it before. And I want to kill her with a knife. And the other thing they're thinking too is the family that picked the knife, the guy who's in charge, like they can manipulate him pretty easily as well. So that is going to be her plan moving forward. It's good stuff. It is a great book and series. You can't jump into it now. You're way too far gone. You got to start from the beginning. Wait for the trades at this moment in time, but man, I do recommend it a lot. It's an excellent book. What an interesting concept, right? And it's Image, and it's a James Tynion joint, so it is going to be that thriller mystery, a lot of horror elements as well, and yeah, it is a fun ride. So yeah, that is Exquisite Corpses issue number 10. Again, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.2. And then we have Final Boss, issue number 4. This one for me, I gave it a 3.5. Lee gave it a 3.8. And similar to the Justice League Unlimited, this is
no thanks.
No thanks for me as well. Just not falling in love with it. It's like a pretty simplistic story and just basically a take on some action fighting game tournament video game turned up to 11. And so it's like, cool, had my fill in the first couple of issues, don't really need any more. The story is super surface level. Basically, each issue, the guy gets into a fight, and he's trying to like legitimately level up, but his goal is he wins this tournament, he gets a bunch of money, and he's trying to find his father. So we just have a continuation of that story. Both of the guys are now on the island. The tournament's about to begin, but before it does, in the hotel they're at, the main character slipped a note under the hotel door. It says, meet at these coordinates for whatever reason. So they go, they take a Humvee out to the other side of the island. But this island's like enormous, and there's a bunch of desert out there. And it turns out there are like savages and cannibals out there as well. So they see a whole bunch of people that are in trouble, and they go and slowly take them out. That, of course, draws the attention of the whole crew, and they start trying to take them out left, right, and center. And at the very end, it's like setting up the main boss, if you will, of the savages that our main character is about to take on. Again, super surface level. It's more about like the gore in this. Like, this thing is rated M for mature, rated R for sure. You have some scantily clad women in this one as well. Like, the savages are like taking some slaves and looking like they're about to have their way with them. Super violent and bloody and gory. And I was like, you know what? I'm more into comics for the story, not so much for the gore. So I just don't need to read this anymore, to be honest with you. Had my fill. Don't necessarily recommend it. If what I described to you, that's your cheese, then go for it. But for me, not so much. So yeah, Final Boss issue number 4. Again, I gave it a 3.5. League gave it a 3.8. And I'll be honest, the 3.5 has been better. It's basically only been like at a 3.5. So that was enough for me. Next up here is going to be Hyde Street, issue number 10. This one, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.3. So I was in between a 4.5 and a 4, but I ultimately went with 4. I've been enjoying Hyde Street so much. It is a really cool purgatory story. And the way that purgatory works and how it's set up is, if you're a really, really bad person in life, you end up on this place called Hyde Street, and basically someone on Hyde Street is going to manipulate you some way, somehow, and like kill you. But the people that are quote unquote residents of Hyde Street, they're even more damned. They are slaves to this guy called the Scorekeeper, and these people are required to harvest 10,000 souls, and if they do, they are allowed to then return to Earth and basically retry life. So randomly people get selected. It actually revealed a little bit in this. It's like once a decade, some poor soul gets added into being a resident on Hyde Street. And we've been learning about all these different characters, all their tragic stories, how they ended up on Hyde Street. And a lot of them, it's, one of the 7 deadly sins that they basically committed. So now with Hyde Street, we have a tarot card reader, and she pulled this card, and the Butcher card came up. She's like, oh my gosh, the Butcher is like this huge, auspicious type of character of like, oh my gosh. And it's been multiple issues that the Butcher's been mentioned. I thought it was going to be revealed in this one. He was not. It get a little bit of a backstory of the sisterhood character, or basically this tarot card character. So we get her story of, it was her and her sister way back in like 1905 or something like that. And they were, doing the tarot cards and the readings and things like that. And a lot of folks considered that to be scamming and illegal and so on and so forth, but that's what they did. And they were even the worst of the worst, though, because what they would truly focus in on, not so much of like do it for fun and then, it's a great way to like spend an afternoon for some gags or whatever. No, they would focus in on like grieving parents of their dead children, right? Or grieving people and like their dead fathers or, parents or what have you. And then prey on them that way. And so like, horrible stuff, obviously. And this is well before the internet, right? So it's just, as long as it was a believable story, people just kind of went with it. So end up on Hyde Street, but they have an interesting story because it's 2 sisters. And it's usually just a singular individual that ends up on the street. So the scorekeeper is basically like, hey, you got 2 people here. One of you can choose who's going to be the resident. The other one, you're going to also stay here too, but like you're going to be transformed and gets transformed into a dove. So our main sister, Clarissa, she ends up staying, and then her sister, Lucinda, or Lucia, something like that, she gets transformed into this bird. But what we realize at the end of this issue is like, it's not like, oh, okay, get the 10,000 souls. The sister can go, the other one's then transformed, and then they're free to go. No, if the Clarissa gets the 10,000 souls, yes, she can go back. But her sister, who was turned into the bird, she will then die. So now it's like, okay, does she just like stay here and she's like truly trapped, or like, will she go, this, that, and the other? So that is a big piece of the story. The other piece is like, I think we're finally going to get the Butcher in the next issue, but I've been thinking that for quite a while. So TBD. So if that is the case, I'd say jump into issue number 11, this is issue 10. So wait, but TBD. So yeah, it is interesting. I love it a lot. Go ahead, show off the artwork here so you can take a look. I think the art is good. I mean, it's serviceable. It's more about the storytelling and just this really interesting take on purgatory and these people who are just damned. And all of them have like different ways that they are handling their time in purgatory. Like some people are just like, they have enough souls and they just stay. Others are getting so close and they're so desperate and they want every single kill. Others refuse to even participate, and so they'll just be stuck there for eternity. It's so cool. So interesting book, Hyde Street, and that is issue number 10. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.3. So that concludes the regular, polls for the last couple of weeks. Now we're going to get into the backlog stuff here. We're going to start off with Saga issue number 51. I gave this issue a 4.5. League gave it a 4.5 as well. Oh, sorry. I hit the wrong button.
Nailed it. I know. Thank you. Moving on.
Nailed it. So, yeah, this is a great issue of Saga. So what we have here is the whole family, the whole crew is hanging out on this planet, and the writers really want to use Alana and Marco's story. They think it's going to be a great story, and to keep them protected, there's a super expensive, powerful spell that's going to be able to transform them. So Alana and Marco, they decline. And so Prince Robot overhears this, and he's with Petrie and is like, hey, we would be interested. Do you think our story would sell as well? You got a robot and a trans, gender, what is it? Horned, I guess. I guess Wreath is Wreathian would be the race in a relationship as well. Would that be just as good? Like, yeah, not quite as good as Alana and as Marco, but we'll see, and we'll see if we can get approval on it. So they're basically waiting for that. But at the very beginning of the issue, you have Squire, Prince Robot's son, who goes up to Prince Robot and it's like, hey, I know you served in the war and you've done some horrible things. Like, have you killed someone? And Prince Robot like nearly loses it, has like a PTSD kind of meltdown and like nearly hurts his son. But he kind of like calms himself and is like, don't ever ask that. I've just done some horrible things, but I'm not that person anymore, right? So that takes place. And then Squire, he has it in the back of his mind that he's going to run away because he doesn't want to like leave this group. And so if, the story gets out there and then they get, transformed, they're going to be effectively in a witness protection program, and he doesn't want that. So that's one piece. The next thing is the Diplomat and the Will. The Will is a bounty hunter. They are hot on the tails of Alana and Marco, the whole crew, and they're on the planet, and they want to use, Alana and Marco and more, particularly Hazel, the daughter of like political capital, so that way the Diplomat can use it to gain some sort of influence, right? And so they finally catch up to the group, and they specifically get to one reporter, and so Diplomat has one of the reporters at gunpoint and the Will. He's got like a shock collar on him, so he can't do much of anything. So the reporter is like, well, I guess you got me. Nothing much else to do. And he just bum rushes her and tries to take her out. Gets in a couple of good shots, but he eventually gets shot and killed. So, they just kill off characters. It's so like tragic and gut-wrenching. But when he does, he was able, I guess, to press the button to release the collar on the Will. So she turns to the Will, and the Will is like gone, nowhere to be found. And now she's like there by herself of like, oh crap, now I'm alone, and I've been torturing the Will for quite a while now. He is going to try to kill me the first second that he can. And so yeah, that is the cliffhanger. So good issue thus far. I'm loving where it's going. I feel like I flipped through a page and I got a major spoiler as to what's coming ahead. I hope it's not what I think it is. You just never know with Saga, but we shall see. I'll go ahead and show off the artwork as best as I can. But Saga, man, I have to be careful. So yeah, here we got Squire, Prince Robot. I think another piece that happens here is like Hazel is like learning how to swim. So they're like doing like normal stuff as well. Marco's trying to write a little bit of fiction as well for Alana. So they're trying to like live life as best as they can and make the best out of all this stuff. Looks like the story is actually approved for them too, but here is where the Diplomat arrives with the Will. The fight is on, and he unfortunately is killed, but boom, the shock collar is released and the Will is gone. So yeah, Saga issue number 51, obviously not the one to jump into. We only have 3 more issues left and I'm finished with the anthology. We then go into volume 10, and then from there it's just single issues that I have from there. So we are just making our way through, but it's crazy that big 9-volume stack is almost done. It'll be here before you know it. So yeah, Saga issue number 51, I gave it a 4.5. League gave it a 4.5 as well. Then we get to Poison Ivy. So this is the start of volume number 4, I want to say. See if I can find it. Yes, volume number 4. Origin of Species. So we start off here with issue number 19, which is straight up exactly what it said. Origin of Species. It is an origin story. So I gave this one a 4. Lee gave it a 4.3. As far as origin stories are concerned, it is a very good one. It's very well written, and it had me, really, what's the word I want to say? Not like, I guess engaged, but I want to, there's a different word, but it's just not coming to me. But as I was reading through it, I was just like locked in the whole time of like, okay. But it is kind of like a classic story. So there's nothing too special about it. It's just really well written. And story basically goes, she was a young, impressionable scientist at a really good school. She gets into this really good program. Her professor, good looking guy, trying to get funding. It's a whole group of different folks, and they all seem to be jealous of her because she's getting all the attention, and they're not necessarily getting as much attention. So it's like, okay, kind of classic thing. I see what's going on here. She's gonna be sleeping with the professor, and sure enough, she does. And exactly what you think happens. The funding then gets cut, and it's like, hey, Woodrow is the name of the professor. She's like, Pam, you got to go and you got to steal the materials for me. And she's like so enamored and in love. And it's like, okay, I'll go and do it. And then that starts, her truly being like really like Catwoman. But the Poison Ivy arc basically starts at that point. So that is a lot of the issue. There's the setup, her in the classroom, the starting of putting together a whole bunch of these different like chemical experiment things, right? So they're all like biologists, right? So just working on a lot of that experimentation, how the relationship development between Pam and Woodrow, that all kind of takes place as well. And it's good. It's just really well written, but it's simple and classic and like, story as old as time. So I'll go ahead and show off the artwork so you can take a look here. For this volume, absolutely perfectly good time to go ahead and jump into this one. It is the start of a new arc, so for sure feel good to do that. And yeah, we'll just kind of keep rocking and rolling through this. I think I have volume number 5 after this, and then we'll be kind of fully caught up at that point. So yeah, that is Poison Ivy issue number 19. Again, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.3. Then we get to Issunboshi. Man, I love this book. Overall, I gave this bad boy a 4.5. League does not have a rating on it, which is a damn shame. This is such a good graphic novel, and this would be a perfect one. Like, if you have a kid that you're trying to get interested into reading comics or graphic novels, this is like a good, interesting one. I'd say like preteen or teenage. It's like perfect. Nothing is like crazy gory or over the top. It feels like that would be a good age appropriate one of like, dude, read this, and like it's an awesome story. So we basically have the final battle that's going to take place here. Issunboshi is a 1/4 of the entire spirit or entity that controls this world in Japan. So he is the spirit of like this enormous blade that is effectively what created the world. And so when all 4 pieces are conjoined together, you basically become the god of the world. And so he needs to fight a demon who has 3 of the 4 pieces, and then Issunboshi being the 4th. So the final battle basically takes place. Demon's there. Issunboshi and his whole crew are there. So his whole crew take care of like kind of some of the lesser goons. He's going one-on-one. Looks like Issunboshi's down for the count, but he goes, fights back, does one final blow, hits the demon, and they both basically like match power, match energy, fist to fist. A huge flash takes place, and both are gone. And then boom, only Issunboshi pops back. And not only does he pop back, he is the size of a thumb, but when he comes back, he's the size of a regular human. Everyone's like, what the hell? How did this happen? And so Issunboshi basically explains like, so I went, the punch happened, there was nothing, and then suddenly I was restored, but he couldn't really explain it. And the sensei basically says, when you punched, you had the 3 pieces that the demon held, and you're the 4th. So basically, you 4, like all 4 were meshed together. And since they were meshed, the god who created these 4 pieces got to decide who he wanted to actually be the one to hold it. And so he cast out the demon, he restored you, and now you have and contain all 4 pieces within you. And you are effectively like God reincarnated. So cool. So now he has this full power. Now he's going to go on to basically fight evil or just maintain the power. I don't know if there's a follow-up to this. I kind of want to know. It is so incredible. I just love it. 5 chapters. You can read this thing so quickly. I was going through this chapter. You can read this whole book, I kid you not, in like half hour. But the art is excellent. It's just, man, it hits on every note. So highly, highly recommend if you find it. Oni Press joint. Go ahead and read through it. Let's go ahead and show off some of the artwork so you can take a look here. It's all like black and white, but it's also like a Saturday morning cartoon, like very Avatar or even like Mulan in its art style. Man, can't get enough. So go ahead, check it out, Issunboshi. It is a graphic novel. I think I picked this bad boy up for, $24 or 25, $24.99. So yeah, again, I gave it a 4.5. No rating on League, so this is where you're going to find the review. This is the place to find it. Very, very good. Then, next up, going to be our second to last one here, is going to be Echoland, issue number 4. I was kind of surprised that League went this high, so I went with a 4 on it. League went with a 4.5. I was a little shocked by that. Not because the quality isn't there, but because as the series kind of goes on, things kind of ebb and flow, and this just feels like another step in the story. Not filler, but we're getting to a destination. Maybe the reveal of the alien was like the big thing, but other than that, definitely I was like 4. So what we have here, we have Red Hood, who is on the cover here. She stole this gem along with this whole party. We have the wizard, who's like kind of like this character behind the scenes, but the wizard has a daughter who's this large character here on the top right, who's chasing after them, trying to regain the gem. So Red Hood and the party, they make it to her ex's, Red Hood's ex's, Romulus, to his island, Treasure Island. They end up being kind of stored underground, and then the wizard's daughter shows up. So Romulus and the wizard's daughter fight. The wizard's daughter wins, even though Romulus is like a demigod. Like, he's basically like Thor, and he gets killed. And so Red Hood and the others are like, we gotta go. So they were in this like kind of capture pod again underwater. Turns into a submarine. So they just go ahead and book it through the submarine, go deep underwater, and then they get to this cave. And they just pop out of the cave, barely survive as like the cave or the submarine's like attacked. And they're trying to figure out what to do next. So start arguing and fighting, and really the bottom line is like, we just got to keep moving forward. And then they get to this, little, I don't want to call it like a house or like maybe a fortress or a bunker. And they open it up, and inside is this alien. And as you read the first 3 issues, at the end of each book is an alien that is basically saying, so who knows what's going to happen in the next issue? I foresee this, this, and this. And then in the next issue, you'll see it and you'll be like, see, I was talking about this. Now we're going to continue in our story. And then I'll see this, this, and this. It's that same alien that they run into. So you're kind of like, oh shit, like this is like crazy multi-dimensional stuff that we're doing here. And so the alien welcomes him in. Everyone gets a feast, and they're all like different creatures and different origins and things like that. So each one of them has their own plate, and they get like their own food of something that reminds them of home or their favorite dish or so on and so forth. And they're trying to figure out what to do next. They're like, all we know is the wizard's going to come after us, and we got to just keep going. And then the alien's like, well, I don't really know what you guys are going to do next or what's going to happen, but they were expected. He's like, I do have this rocket ship, so you can go ahead and take that. And so they decide to take the rocket ship, and that's the cliffhanger. So that's the story. It's a little weird. It's a very bizarre book. The art, though, is like out of this freaking world. Got to say, some of the best, like, craziest art that I've seen in a comic, probably next to like Absolute Martian Manhunter. Like, this is just this is wackier for sure. So it's just crazy amount of fantasy. Here's where the fight is taking place. It's this super long comic book strip kind of look to it as well. The printing paper is like super high quality. It's an art showpiece. I think I've mentioned that before. Continues to be so. So here's where they continue to kind of their travels down into the sea. This is where the submarine is attacked, and then boom, there's nothingness. But they're able to make it to the surface. They start fighting, and then boom, this alien dude right here is the same one that we see at the end of each one. This is where they start to get their meals to try to figure out what to do next. And then boom, there's that rocket ship that's going to take them to wherever they need to go. So yeah, it is a cool book. I do recommend it. Right now, I think we have a couple more issues. I think there's 6. So, yeah, again, I gave this a 4. Lee gave it a 4.5. And yeah, it's cool stuff. I can't recall why exactly I wanted the book, but it's dope. It is living up to the hype. Then we got Fables. This is going to be the final review for this episode. So we have issue number 161. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4 as well.
Nailed it. I know. Thank you. Moving on.
And this issue is good. We have the big final battle that's basically taking place here. So it is Peter Pan, basically, who is our bad guy. He is in this forest trying to take over. We have 3 different people that are trying to claim ownership or leadership or whatever of the of the forest. It's werewolf, demon, and Jack in the Green. And so the werewolf goes to attack Peter first. Looks like Peter is down and out. That was the cliffhanger that we're left off on. This issue starts here where Peter was swallowed whole. So he's got a sword. He cuts his way out of the werewolf. And so with that, the werewolf looks like it's dead. So one is out of the picture. But then the demon shows up. And then the demon is pissed off because Peter has Tinkerbell, who already killed his son or turned him into a whole bunch of like grasshoppers, basically. And so the demon is now attacking Peter, and Peter summons Tink to come back. So Tink comes back, and Tink is described in this as like the most powerful being in all of these characters. And she starts attacking the demon and just slicing him, literally death by 1,000 cuts. And Tink's like, I don't want to do this, but Peter's forcing me, and I can't do anything to stop this. And the demon's like, go ahead, just make it quick. And he's like, yeah, that's actually another thing, is I was told I have to make this as slow and painful as possible. So just keep slicing them up. While Tink is there, she was previously like guarding the kids of the werewolves. So the werewolf father, the patriarch, you have the kids there. They were able to escape, so they look like they're about to join into the fight as well. And then Jack in the Green then shows up. So Jack in the Green shows up, has Tink dead in her sights with a arrow. Looks like she's about to fire that off, and that's basically the cliffhanger that we have. We have the B plot too of Cinderella. She was a part of like the CIA. She got casted out due to some political BS and is trying to figure out what else she's going to do next. Not really super important to the story that's basically happening here. But yeah, that is Fables. Let's go ahead and show off some of the artwork so you can go ahead, take a look basically of what we got here. That was the fight. This is actually from the previous issue. Let's get to this one. Boom. So this is where Peter was basically swallowed. And then after he was swallowed, the fight starts to take place. Boom. Sword through the gut. Peter comes out. The demon, he comes out as well. Starts attacking. Tink then shows up. Death by 1,000 cuts starts to take place. This is where the kids start to break free. And then Jack in the Green has Tink in her sight at the very end here. So yeah, that is Fables issue number 161. Of course, not the place to jump into since this is a trade with 12 issues in it, but it's pretty good. At first, I was not enjoying it, but towards the end, I'm like, this is a cool, fun little story that I've been reading through. So at the end of it, I think I am going to be actually recommending it. It's a DC Black Label joint. So yeah, that is, Fables 161. I gave it a 4. League gave it a 4 as well. So before we wrap it up and we go into the polls for next week, let's just recap everything real quick. So we had X-Men issue number 25. We got Cyclops, who's back to normal. They are now trying to chase after Doug Ramsey. Beast now knows that himself. Dr. McCoy is now the leader of 3K. And we have Justice League Unlimited issue number 16 here. Owl Woman realizes the mistake that she made trying to get the villains on her side. Exquisite Corpses issue number 10. We have the continued fallout of these dangerous games. The groundskeeper is now compromised. Final Bosses issue number 4, just continuing to level up in this video game-ish style story with fighting some savages in the desert. Hyde Street number 10. This is the backstory of the sisterhood, basically Clarissa and why she is on Hyde Street. Saga 151, Diplomat and the Will have reached the point of the reporters and Alana and Marco, so shit's about to go down. Poison Ivy, issue number 19, get the backstory of Poison Ivy and her relationship with Woodrow. Issunboshi, we had chapter number 5 here. He becomes whole of the 4 pieces and basically the new god of the realm. Echolands issue number 4, the party then makes it to the alien who's been guiding us this whole way, and they continue to try to escape from the wizard's daughter. And then Fables, issue 161. The fight continues between Peter and all the different folks trying to take over the forest. Who will come out on top? We're going to find that out actually in the next issue. So yeah, those are the books. That is everything from this review. Go ahead, put everything back here so you're not just looking at the black mat on the desk. With that, we'll go ahead and flip over to the polls for next week. And we are locked and loaded with 9. That's not too bad. 9 comics for next week. So we'll have Absolute Flash issue number 12, Absolute Superman issue number 17, The Autumn Kingdom, The Wraithbound Queen issue number 2, Avengers number 36. I think that's the finale for the Avengers, and then we're going to reboot this thing. DCKO issue number 5. I believe that's the finale for that one as well. Moonstar number 1. I think I just picked the first one up. I can't remember. But yeah, well, that is the start of a new one, obviously. Nice House by the Sea issue number 8. I think by that point we'll be caught up. I may just have one more backlog there. X-Men issue number 26. And then the X-Men annual as well. So those will be the 9 books, and looking forward to it. So yeah, with that, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Like I mentioned before, got a lot of books I need to catch up on. So the Omega is probably going to just be books from this week and last week. Then from there, I think for the following, next Saturday's issue is going to be a little bit of catch up, and then probably books from the current week, like the 9 that I just read off. That'll be the plan. We'll see. I'm flying up to Baltimore. My brother and sister-in-law, they're expecting their first child, so we're doing the whole baby shower thing. So I'm hoping I can read a couple books either on the plane or at the airport, and that'll get me set up all nicely for the Omega. And then we'll get back on track here. Then after that, I'm done with travel for a little bit, so we should be back to our regular schedule. I know I mentioned I was like, I'm definitely gonna do an Omega this week. It just wasn't in the cards. You know how it goes sometimes. Life be life in. So yeah, I think with that, we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Check out in the description below where you can follow the show on social media. And if you'd like to support the show monetarily, you can head over to buymeacoffee.com/Saturday Morning Review. All proceeds would basically go towards buying some comic books. So if you want to leave a tip, that's the place to do it. Again, thanks again for tuning in, and I will see you guys in the next one.
This has been a DMW production. Thanks for stopping by.